In the general markets, I'm looking at 7 prediction for robotic process automation in 2020. It's indicating something about the RPA's industry growth and the shifts that will happen within the global markets in 2020 across the entire globe. After the bailout and what's written in this article, global economic downturn will encourage the adoption of automation. And there's been signaling from the financial markets that this is a thing that will happen. And it doesn't paint an optimistic picture according to this article. From where they're pulling their information, it's not really a source that I can actually determine as being a legitimate source. So take this with a grain of salt. But from their analysis, which holds some truth to it, long-term interest rates and the retraction of corporate investments reflect increasing instabilities for global tensions, conflicts, and trade wars. And you can see that with the oil war that we had between these two countries. I think it was Russia, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and they did a coup in Venezuela. So there's a whole bunch of things happening that are working in correlation with this being a major possibility for the future. And I'm finding that my prediction of automation being a thing is due to many factors. One being that the Obama era of jobs were fragrant at best, and they didn't pay that well, and they was a do-nothing job position just to give people work. So you go to school, you go to college, get your debt. And with that debt, you are $50,000 to $100,000 in debt, so maybe less. Then you go get the ain't shit job that can easily be replaced with some AI doing it or a couple of clicks on a computer. So those with a business degree, more than likely, I'm seeing whatever they stick their hat in as being the market in which they want to work in. It's going to be slim pickings with how many people actually have a business degree. So if they're already in the position, their company is too small to actually go over the automation. It wouldn't make sense for them to go over the automation. Too large to actually get rid of them in that position, unless, of course, they go with a cheaper option than the person that's been there the longest. So a business degree or MBA also, y'all should not go for those degrees, but hiring an accountant or financial officer, somebody to do the analytics. Their main job is to go over those programs. The financial sector will be kind of a slim pickings as well, but it's mostly going to be niche. A niche market. So quite hard to find work when so many people have a degree for like accounting or finance or anything like that, even though some people call accounting science, some of the basic mathematics than anything else, and a few key law research that goes correlation with it. And those that are actually getting degrees now, the new breed of workhorse coming into the workforce, those that are old heads in positions, if they can actually find somebody that's proficient, younger, willing to take less pay, they will hire them over and get rid of their old guard in their ranks at their offices. It's been a steady decline of job hiring and a steady increase of layoff, getting rid of older employees within most of these companies. IT sector is one area in which they actually do that a lot. Finance, business. So, to anybody that's actually considering college is the first thing that should come out of their mouth to their child going to school, it's probably best to send them to a vocational school. Learn a skill that will not be automated, to which they can fall back on. Welding is a good one because it's hard to automate welding. Doing anything with replaceable parts is kind of hard to automate, although they do have CNC machines which can fabricate a lot better than a human, but you still need a human to operate it. So replaceable parts, manufacturers still need people, and that's just to verify the quality control of the items that are being made, and also test those items as well and verify, understand what it is that needs to be done within a certain tolerance. Doesn't mean machine can't do it. It just means how much money do a person that owns the company wants to put into that automation, where they can just get rid of the person completely. But the more complicated you make anything that's automated, that's going to be working on its own without any human interaction, more likely it might wind up breaking. So you're going to need an engineer that knows how to fix the broken item. So your engineering field will still need people in it, but it's probably going to require more certification. So it's going to be a higher cost to entry into those career fields. Those that are very technical career fields and those that are needing people in them. Pretty sure big corporations will add on to job requirement or employment, and they're going to expect people to have certain certifications as an add-on for that industry. As their industry grows more and more towards automation, they need to understand that automation before they even get to the job or have some experience in that software level. And work experience will be highly, highly needed. That's why I proposed that college has to change how they do their process. There are 2 years of your basic crap that you got in high school, middle school. It needs to be more. Here's the core curriculum of what you need to understand. Here's all your tests to those first 2 years. Here's your test for all those certifications you're going to need. Companies need to go ahead and start sponsoring, or you get a scholarship that covers all of the schooling under a certain paradigm of what you need to be learning, and section it off in certain sectors so that if you're working in IT, you're only working in this sector, and they'll specifically line that person up with what they want to be doing, what they need to understand before getting out of college. That way, those other 2 years on the other end are going to be them exercising what they learned those first 2 years, in direct correlation still going to classes and getting training while they're working at the company. So they'll get paid while they're going to school, on a scholarship, finishing up those 2 years, and it'll be sort of like an apprenticeship program. That way, they will specify what they need in correlation with the automation. And with this automation, there will be a lot of jobs lost that they see as dead weight. And in that dead weight is mostly old, antiquated degrees that aren't needed anymore. To tell you the truth, there's no need to actually get a degree for IT to a certain point. They just need certification, they need work experience, and they're teaching it in high school right now how to program and all that stuff. A high school student needs to understand one thing. They need to push this to them, how important it is for them to actually understand what it is that they're doing and how to implement it. Because the more experience they have, those 4 years they got from 9th grade to 12th grade, or however their school is structured, will give them plenty of experience at that level. And if they have programs in the high school, IT probably will never need a degree anymore. You just get your work experience from 10th to 12th grade. Start working for a company or interning for a company from 11th to 12th grade. Then you can choose to go into a specific career field, line of work. And with this, they also need to lower the cost of going to school so that it could alleviate some of the financial burden, which leads towards huge defaults in the financial market for those loans, because nobody wants to buy those loans. So now, with this said too, the rich have gotten trillions of dollars, and they already got billions of dollars of personal, in some cases hundreds of billions of dollars of personal money not tied in their companies, and their companies worth trillions of dollars, yet they still get trillions of dollars. So with those trillions of dollars, they'll try to prop up their companies, keep them afloat as much as they possibly can, while they work on pushing towards all that money that they've been harboring in offshore accounts or whatever to avoid taxes. Some of them don't pay taxes, but they use this as an opportunity to go out and automate as much as they could. And they use this illness as an opportunity to get rid of those dead weight Obama jobs so that they can justify getting rid of the jobs, justify getting the hell out, justify soon the automation. And our government heads are too old and out of touch to even realize this is going to be a thing. Yet those that are in corporate hire a lot of smart people around them that know how to do those things. They might be old and out of touch for the time being, but they catch on very quickly as to how to save money, how to manage their workforce, to lower their overhead. So automation, it will be a thing either this year or next year. And they're going to say the reason why was due to the pandemic. It shut down the world markets. They're going to blame all their financial malfeasance on the illness and justify their means as to, yeah, we can't trust that people won't wind up getting sick, suing us and whatnot for having to work during a illness. And a whole bunch of people right now are trying to unionize, and they hate unionization and protest, and they know a machine will not do that. And if their workforce is very small, they don't have to worry about that, and they can put in better security measures for certain issues like the illness or IP protection, intellectual property protection. As workers, it's likely for somebody to leak out information, easier to find out who leaked, but if you're a smaller, manageable company. With that said, government will drag their feet like molasses as to how long they're going to actually require them to come out for some tax dollars, or based off their percentages in profits or a tax on their product or service in order to pay a UBI, universal basic income, to the citizens within that country. That way, somebody will have a level of some money in that country's currency, keep that currency under control, because if you don't place some of that money back into the public hand, and it's very small in the public hand, you leave it in the corporation's hands to determine how much value your money is. In some measure, this is true, but there are other factors that play into that as well. So for those that work home, like myself, barely get paid a month until it actually pays me well in the future that I keep going at it. It's going to take some time for even my work at home becomes adequate, as those avenues in which I actually use and utilize become automated as well. But I'll tell you one thing, there's something that government should take into consideration once they do give out a UBI, because they're out of options. Probably going to be 5 or 6 years before they actually do it. They need to do price managing, and that way they keep the cost a certain amount. I think it's a price ceiling or price floor, how much a rental unit can go in a certain area, and based on income. And then there'll be a federal UBI flat rate, and based on the income or the state, GDP. Based on those numbers in the area in which they're actually making the most money in, they will give out a certain percentage to those people that are citizens within that area. So let's say, for instance, you're in California. LA costs a lot of money. California makes a lot of money. They don't have to send out too much money to the federal government if they supplement some of the costs. So that cost of living in California will weigh out. So there's a flat rate for the UBI on a federal level that's sent to people automatically. You move to a state, and in that state, the moment you register for your driver license, register for your place to stay, or have some bills or something like that that you can actually use, and there has to be a multitude of how many ways you can actually qualify for it. And then within the next month or two, they give you your money. They pay you for the time being that you actually registered in the state from the time that they first pay you. So if it takes 2 months, they'll pay you for those 2 months back pay. Then that'll actually help you out. And then they'll have you sign a piece of paper or have you give a document to a landlord or something like that to cut or supplement your costs for rent and the car note and all that stuff. So it might just be rent, because the car would be difficult to actually do that underneath the vehicle, because the building actually resides within the state. It's on state land. They will have to just do it that way, and they can just supplement that cost. They'll pay directly to the renter. They could do it that way, or just send you back pay that needs to be paid, plus any additional pay on top of that, so that you can actually supplement and manage your money. With that said, people will have not that many jobs that they need to do, but because, restaurant job would probably be hard to get to, because they don't really need to hire that many people, and they can get machines to do it for them. They'll just need a person there to manage the machines, a person there to manage a few workers that they do got there. Probably be about 4 people. 2 engineers, or somebody that has some engineering background that are also employees, 2 people that are probably trainees or something like that, and 1 manager. 5 people on shift. You got your machine, it's flipping 65 burgers in 1 minute or something like that, and then it does the fries and all that stuff too on the timer, and all they gotta do is just dump the food out, and then the kiosk, people don't even have to see a register. They go and pay at a kiosk, and then they just sit there, and it gives them a timer how long it's gonna take them to actually get their food, and maybe 1 or 2 servers, so that's 6 people on shift. For 1 of the 4 that's already there, and then that's pretty much it. And then your manager is pretty much your accountant and all that stuff too, and they just manage the floor. So that's why I was saying they're going to compound what's the requirement that are needed for these jobs. If you do have an accounting degree, do you have any management background as well? And then you'll work at a McDonald's as a manager and an accountant, and now your job has shrunken, or they shrunken the job field. That's my idea about everything so far. I'm over my 15 minutes, and I'm not sure they're gonna allow me to actually upload this, but like all YouTubers say that aren't corporate, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, comment. I am out.